Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Now this was inspired by a card I received a while ago from a friend. So let's get started. Ooh, it's dusty. For inks, I have my Memento Tuxedo Black. I have Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, Cajon Craze, and Whisper White Craft Ink. I'm also going to be using a little hole punch, black Stampin'Up marker, wink of Stella, and a couple of the blending brushes. I have a scrap of Pacific Point just to punch out a couple of those little holes with. Put that over there with it so I know where it is. I have a 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Daffodil Delight. I have a 5 by 3 and 3/4 inch piece of white. I have a 4 by 5 and 1/4 inch piece of Melon Mambo, a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of black, my card base, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using this polka dot stencil. They call it a mask, basic pattern decorative masks. I'm going to be using Brilliant Wings dies. I'm going to be using this one here, this die here, and this die here. And then I'm going to be using this stamp and the Hello from Vine Design. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this black piece, and right out of the center of it, I'm going to die cut out this butterfly. And then I'm going to take this die with this yellow piece, I'm going to line that up on here so I can get an outline of the butterfly. So let me go and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, I've got those cut out. This piece will be a background, so you won't see that that's cut out of there, but now I've got my butterfly. Okay, this one we'll put aside for a minute. Okay, now we're going to bring in this stamp. Well, let's do the background first. I'm going to take the Daffodil Delight and my blending brush. I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to start right in the center. I'm just going to do a nice circular blend so it gets softer around the edges. Right in the center. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the Melon Mambo. I'm going to bring in this mask, set that on there. Ink up my sponge. I'm going to do it real soft. I'm doing very lightly. And I'm going diagonally across this way. A little bit other places, but I don't want it to be all over the page. I just want it to be here and there. There we go. That's even a little bit more than I probably should have, but that's alright, it'll work. Just wipe this off with a rag or a baby wipe would work, or yours. This one I cut in half. It just wipes right off then. Okay. Oops. Okay. I love my chamois. They're awesome. Okay, now let's close this up for a minute. And we're going to stamp the vine with Cajun Craze. Come on, open. Thank you. Make sure you get it inked up well. I'm going to turn this, it's easier for me. I'm going to stamp that right in the center. Let it sit there for a minute. Awesome. Well, there's a couple that didn't. Oh, it has a little bit of dust on it. It's been sitting on my desk. Okay. That's alright, we'll do this. Cobbler. The Cajun Craze one, I don't know if I do. There's a coral. Braid. Here, this should be it. Cajun Craze. We're bringing the Cajun Craze Stampin' Right marker, and I'm just gonna fill in that didn't come in. There we go. It's an easy way to correct it. Okay, we're done with the Cajun Craze completely. Now I'm going to bring in this butterfly and the scratch paper. I'm going to bring the blender in. I'm going to add some color onto these wings. No, I don't have enough on here, so I need to add a little bit more. I'm just using Daffodil Delight on Daffodil Delight, and then I'll add a little bit of pink on the edges. So I just want a little bit of this on these wings. Just to add a little bit of something else. Okay, then I'm going to bring in that brush from the Melon Mambo. I'm going to add some of that on the edge. I didn't even re-ink it, I just used what was on my brush. Right on the edge. Okay. Now we can bring in this. I'm going to bring that Pacific Point piece, and I'm going to punch out 2 of those little circles. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my wet glue. I'm going to adhere those circles right here on this. That's too much glue, but we'll wipe it off. Add that little blue circle. There's that little eye that is the bottom of the wings. I'm going to bring in my rag here. Just wipe off the extra a little bit. There we go. So there's that part. Now I'm going to glue this right on top, and I'm just gluing this center where the body is. right onto this one here. Make sure it's centered. Gives you a even spacing all the way around if you do. Okay, put that aside, and we're done with that. Just gonna fluff those wings a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna bring in my wing stella. I'm just gonna color the entire butterfly with the wing stella. Don't worry about getting onto the underneath part. It's not going to matter much, but I'm basically just trying to get the black all covered with the wing stella. Just added just a little bit of something extra. Needed it. Shifted just a little. Let's see if it's still wet enough. Yeah, I can fix it. There we go. Okay, so we'll set that aside for a minute. I'm going to bring in this. I'm going to bring in this piece here. And I'm going to place this on here like this. Once here, run it through. Then I'm going to shift it up here. I'm going to put it there and run it through. And then I'm going to put it here and run it through. And I will be right back after I've done that. Okay, I've done that. As I take it off, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it adds this texture where it just kind of cuts this pattern into the paper. I'm not sure you can even see it, but it's really kind of cool. There, you can see it right there. Okay. All right, now we can put this card together. Oh, I need to stamp the sentiment first. Bring in my memento, and I did forget a step. I'm going to bring in this little tiny flower here, and my Whisper white ink. I should have done this first, but that's alright. I'm not sure it's needed. And I'm going to stamp this flower, Whisper white ink, and along this line here. So I'm adding lots of different textures. Can you see that? Okay, now I'm going to go dry that with my heat tool because the craft ink will not dry very fast. And I will be right back. Okay, I've got that. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment and memento down here at this bottom edge. Perfect. And before I assemble the card, I'm going to take my Stampin' Up black marker and I'm going to do a little spritzing on here. Oh dear. Well, I'll do quite a bit of spritzing there because I got something on there. So, and all I'm doing, I'm taking the fat end, I'm putting it in my cap, and I'm just flicking it just a little bit, and that adds that little black flecks. Oh, my lighting is horrible today. Okay, now we're going to mount this to the melon mambo piece. I'm going to set it aside for just a second. Let's do these layers first. With the melon mambo piece onto the black. Okay, then I'm going to put this piece on top of the melon mambo. I didn't use any dimensionals. The only dimension on this card is the butterfly. Okay. On there. Trying to be careful so I don't smear anything. Okay, I guess I'll just put it there. And that's not wet. Okay. Now this is going to go on the front of our card base. Okay, now we'll bring in our butterfly. And again, I'm just going to put glue here at the base of the body, or where the body is. Figure out where we want them. Put them down. There you go. There's the card we just made together with all that texture and... Let's see. Oh, that's kind of shadowy. There you go. Here's the one I did previously. So each one's going to be just a little bit different. Well, thank you so much for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.